Alrighty, today we're going to use some technology to create the scatter plot and draw in a trend line and see how we can take our data, get an equation in there, see how your data fits in, what your trend line that you drew by hand, how it compares to when we use things that are pizzazzy in technology. So obviously you already have your Chromebook. Okay, and you've got that ready. You need your information that we charted yesterday on your worksheet where we gathered everybody's heights and fingertip heights. Okay, and I want you to open up a new tab on your screen. And what that's going to involve you doing is uh, you're going to have to kind of flip flop back and forth between my video and seeing what I'm doing in Google Sheets, the program, and then watch and enter your data on Google Sheets as well. All right. So I guess the big lesson here, pause this video as often as you need to go back and forth and make things match up. Okie dokie. So you have a new tab open and you're going to go up to these set of 9 squares up here, or boxes, which is where all your apps are, and find Google Sheets. This is the spreadsheet program. So find that and click on it. It'll give you some options and existing templates when you first open it up. And we're just going to pick a blank one. Okay, we're starting from scratch. If you've used either Microsoft Excel or some other spreadsheet program, and maybe you have in tech or in another class, wow, this is super powerful. It's a great way. I keep a lot of my own personal finance and budget and things on here, so I love this program. All right, come up here at the top. Right now it says Untitled. I want you to title yours as Line of Best Fit. Let's just leave it at that, okay? Because when you share it with me, I'm going to see that it's yours, so you don't have to add your name on there. Then hop on down into this grid-like area. In a spreadsheet, each one of these boxes is called a cell. And much like the game of Battleship, each cell is defined or located by its position, by its column name, which are letters, and the row name, which are numbers. What I want you to do is get your cursor right up here in cell A1. And with your data handy, we're going to do a whole lot of entering, okay? So we're going to start by calling this first column height. And let's call the second column, what we did on our worksheet, fingertip height. Okay. Now, we don't have to include the numbers. You have to go and just basically input all of your data. All right. So start cranking away and typing in. We've got all of these students that we've got to get all of this data in. So go along. Like I said, pause the video as you need to make sure you're at the same spot I am. 66. And we'll have to skip over Karos's data because we don't have it handy. So we'll just move on just like we created the spreadsheet in class. Okay, double check your numbers, make sure everything looks good. You're going to do the same thing with the fingertip height now. So come on over, move your cursor up there, and go ahead and start entering all of your data for this one. When you get done, of course, everything should match up and be accurate as long as you kept track of and made sure you didn't get lost along the way. I'm trying to focus really hard so I don't get messed up, okay? Pause as you need to. Now, if you want to play around with a little bit and make your chart look a little nicer, I'll give you a couple minutes. You can do that. For example, if you wanted your column headers to maybe be bold, different font size, maybe you want to fill it in and make it look pretty. If you want to change your font color to something else or italicize it and center it. Okay, most of your formatting options are right up here in this toolbar. What I do notice though is now this wording for this column is a little wider than the column itself. So if you get your cursor up there in between column B and C and just hold down your left mouse button and drag, and you can kind of make that column wider. Cool. Okay. Some people like to have their table actually have dark grid lines in there. And so if you highlight all of that area and come up to this icon, which are for your borders, you can just click on it and go from there. Okay, cool. Now, we've got all our data. I'm ignoring my phone. We've got all of our data. And so what we want to do right now is I want to make the scatter plot. Technology is so awesome. It's going to do it for us right away. Isn't that sweet? All right, so here's what we need to do. Click on Insert. When you click on Insert, you get a whole menu of options. And what we're going to do is choose a chart. So click on this. And when we do that, all of a sudden, this line graph comes in here. And I'm like, I don't want a line chart. That's not what I wanted. Don't worry, we got lots of options here, and they're just giving you tons of choices. All right. So if you go up here, you will see underneath this thing called chart type, there's a drop-down menu. Whew. Here we go. I don't want this one. I don't want this thing. No. Stacked, blah, blah, blah. What you need to do is start scrolling on down until you find scatter. Okay. Find it, pick it, and then you're like, voila, there it is. Oh my stars, it's gorgeous. Okay. At the moment, it's kind of covering up my data. And even though I'm going to focus a lot just on my graph, I think I still want to move this out of the way. So if you simply click outside of your chart right now and then click, let's see, I want to move this. Come on, darling. Here we go. How can I get this moved? Yeah. I might just have to physically drag and squeeze this up here. Get it up out of the way. Okay. So you go ahead, drag, move it, get it positioned how you like. I just don't like it covering up my data. Okay. All right. So I've got all this here, and then I'm looking at it and I'm like, ooh, you know, when we made our graph, I know that my lowest data point on that x-axis for my height, my lowest point was 59, and I can kind of see it, but it doesn't even look visible here. Okay. And so I really would rather start it a little lower than this. Okay. We chose to go from 58 and above. And so we've got to do some editing on here basically. So will you take your cursor and just click on the graph, and you'll see these three buttons where you can do some editing. We want to edit the chart. Here we go. All right. So when you see this menu here, we're going to keep that it's a scatter chart, okay? And as I look at my other options here, I really don't want to change anything, okay? I want to leave that as is. So what I'd rather do is I want to come over here to customize, and here is where we can fix things and make it look a little better. This is where we're going to add the trend line. We're going to get the equation of our line and use it to make some predictions, okay? So if I just start pulling down some of these drop downs and look at things, okay, chart style, I'm not going to mess with the font. My background color is fine. If you wanted to, you know, I don't know, make it a little fancier or something, you could do that. I personally find it a little annoying. Yellow, I don't know, do you like yellow better? I don't care. So if you want to change any of that, that's fine. But really under chart style, I'm not going to mess with very much. Chart and axis titles. Okay, so as I'm looking at this, height and fingertip height, yeah, that's fine to leave it like that. I know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to mess with the font, so I'm going to leave that one pretty much alone. Under series, all right, you get a little bit of options if you want to change the color of your dots on your scatter plot, you know, mess around with that a little bit, go ahead. But I'm not going to do much there either. You know, they give you some options with the shapes there as far as if you want to do a little bit of changing there, if it makes you feel all fancy, go ahead and do that. Legend, this gives up some of our information as far as what this means. Now, when I'm looking at this, I'm going to close this for a second. This gives, it says fingertip height, but really, you know, my y-axis is the fingertip height, and this is my height. I don't even know if I really need this legend to be there, height and fingertip height. So what I'm going to do is, and let me get back over to where you are. This was under series. Apply to fingertip height. Here we go. Or sorry, legend. That's where we were. Okay. So for legend, instead of position, I'm just going to choose none. And then I don't even need that on there. Okay. It's your choice. You don't have to. But here's the deal. My horizontal axis, I don't like that I can't really see all of my data. So when I click on horizontal axis, it just took the values that we had in our table to determine the minimum and the maximum. I know from looking at my chart, I need to go a little lower than 36. Okay. And I think, or I'm sorry, horizontally, we started at 58. Okay, and then I know my highest points were up there at like 70 and a half or something. So I'm going to make it just so it'll fit, maybe 74, let's say. Okay, because then I'll be able to see everything a little better. Okay, so I took care of the horizontal axis. I'm not going to mess with any other options here. I just wanted to definitely get my size and my window here basically to fit my data. So I'm just going to click horizontal. I'm going to go to vertical now. And I'm going to do the same thing. On my vertical y-axis here, notice it's going just from 36 to 44 because those were my boundary points. So go here, and my big fat face might be covering this up, but go to a minimum value and let's go down to at least 35. Okay, so that way, oh, and it actually went to 34 because it looks like it's going by twos. Sweet. I just want to get my data visible here. And let's see, our highest point was about 44. So, because it said that right there, if we go to something like 45 or 46, I'll type that in. Now this looks better. I can see all of my data in there. Okay, cool. Okay, nice, nice, nice. All right, so now as you've got things positioned and you're looking at it and you're getting things formatted, now you can see all of your data points in your scatter plot. Okay. Now, what I really want to do, and Gridlines, like I said, if you want to mess around with any of the colors, you feel free to do that, but that's just kind of fluff, really. All right. All right, what I want to do though is now I want to get my line of best fit. What we've been doing is drawing them manually. Okay, so that's cool, but it's not necessarily very accurate. And I'm going to have a different trend line drawn manually than the person sitting next to me and the person sitting next to them. So it'd be nice if we could standardize this mathematically. When you get into statistics later in math, there's various different ways to calculate this line of best fit. For our purposes, as we're just beginning in Algebra 1, we'll just let the computer take care of the math behind the scenes. What you know is that when you get a straight line in there, we can define that line by its slope and its y-intercept, and then we have the equation. And that's what we're going to allow Google Sheets to do for us now. So I want you to click on this thing that says series. When you do that and you start going down, you're going to see this thing that says Trendline. Awesome. Click on it, and then it's like magic appears. Oh my goodness sakes. Look at this. I'm going to close out this box for a second and be like, oh, that is so cool. Look at that. It put it right in there. And mathematically, it calculated it for me, which is cool. I'm going back into Edit and Customize and Series because now Here for Trendline, it's giving me some options. Some of these first things are just cutesy color things, but I want you to get to this drop down box that says label, and right now it says none. And if you click on that box and click on use equation, now all of a sudden, and you can close down the chart editor, holy cow, there's the equation of your line. They don't write it as y equals, but it says 0.594 times x, psst, there's your slope, plus 1.83, that's your y-intercept. Are you kidding me? That is awesome. Okay. Now, when I'm looking at this, I'm like 1.83 and 0.594. This thing is counting off of the grid that I've got it written on right now. Okay. And that's all right. For our purposes, I just want you to use what it's showing here because it's counting these boxes as onesies or whatever. I suppose if we wanted to, let's just play for a minute and see what happens under customize. If I really went under my horizontal axis and I said, let's make your minimum value 0, you can see, holy cow, look what's going to happen. Okay. And then go under the vertical axis and make the minimum value 0. Okay. Now you can kind of see why we, instead of starting at 0, 0, okay, because then it looks like my data is all clumped up there. I'm still going to get this same equation for the line. And isn't that weird? Because when we were just looking at our snapshot closer in, it looked like it was going to cross the y-axis a lot closer. As we use technology, we see how much more accurate it becomes. Cool. I am basically just going to turn it back so that my horizontal axis started back where we graphed it, which was like at 58 or so. And then I'm going to change my vertical axis back. I don't want it at 0. I'm going to put that one back at about 35. Okay. Cool. Like this. Now, the last part I want you to do. Okay, so you should have something that looks like this. I want you to close down this chart editor part. And let's come over here and underneath your table, click on a cell over here. And I want you to type in the equation that we have in the line here. Or actually, no, let's do this. Let's say I wanted to make some predictions now using the line. And I said, oh, what if somebody was like super tall? So I'm thinking of some of those 8th graders that are super tall. And let's say we wanted to estimate what somebody's fingertip height were if they happen to be 6'8". Holy cow, that's 80 inches tall. Okay, type in 80 right here in that height column. Now, what we're going to do is tell Google Sheets to program with that equation what the height will be. Okay, so here's how we're going to do that. Anytime you want Google Sheets to do math, you start with an equal sign. The minute you put equal sign, you're saying, hey, do the math for me. Let's type in this equation that they have here, 594 thousandths, 0.594, times, use the asterisk. Now we're not going to say x, okay? I want it to go and grab the number right before me. Now, rather than type in 80, I just want you to click on the box that has 80 in it, and notice what it did. It automatically filled it in with that cell. That becomes important in just a second. Our formula said we still have to add 1 and 83/100ths, so do that. Hit enter. Boom! There you go. You have your prediction. Isn't that cool? When we are making a prediction that's outside of the data we have, that's a term called extrapolate. Extrapolate, X meaning outside our data. What if I said, hey, you know what? We didn't really have anybody, let's say, at 61 inches. So let's use our formula to figure out what our data says, what our equation said for someone who is 61 inches tall. So type 61 there. Now, rather than retype the formula, equal sign, 0.594, asterisk, this box, blah, 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 we can just copy the formula. That's how smart Google is. Okay, so come over here. I'm going to put this up a ways. Notice that on this box, where up in this formula bar, I have all of the equation underneath there. Cell B28 right here just shows me 49.35. Get your cursor right on that box. Oh, did you see that? Arrow, arrow, get it up here. It changes to a plus sign. Take and hold down the left mouse button and drag down a few boxes. What this just did, now click outside of here somewhere. What this just did is it was smart enough to say, oh, you want to take 0.594 times 829, the number that's in the box just to the left of me, and then add 1.3. Whew. Now look here. Here it says take the number 0.594 times whatever's in 830. There's nothing there. Plus 1.83. So that's why you only get 1.83, because there's nothing here. I want you to input and just make up any three numbers you want there so that it automatically will calculate here. Like if I put in 22 and hit enter, it automatically calculates here. Isn't that cool? Sweet. All right. So you should have 80. You should have 61. I want you to just enter any three other numbers you want there. Let it do the calculation for you. If you want to go and reformat and make it all pretty colors, fancy type, whatever you want, go ahead. But what I want to see from you, you've got your title, line of best fit. You've got your column headings on here and all of your data. You've got your scatter plot with a trend line, and you've got the equation of your trend line right there. All right, you can mess around with the other stuff. I need to see that you threw in 80 and 61, entered the formula to calculate that from your equation, and then you're going to put in 3 more pieces of data. All right, sweet. When you've done that, and you've got everything ready to submit to me, you're going to come up here to say share. When you click share, it's going to say, who do you want to share with? All right. What I want you to do is start typing L best, and I should pop up. I want you to use my Hastings apps email, because the other one might show up too. That's just my regular school email. I want you to use the Hastings apps one. You click on that and then hit send, and that's how I'll get to see it and grade it for you. Okay? Cool. If you want to play around a little bit more with that, go ahead and do that. And as always, may the force be with you.